This program is brought to you by the following company.
Destine is 9 years old, described as a soft-spoken and shy girl. Destine sometimes struggles with a robust educational curriculum. Justin is 10 years old. He's described as studious and playful. For Justin, the competition in school is intense and the pressure is high. He must be on his toes. Destine and Justin attend the Learning Lab to enhance their educational experience. The Learning Lab is a leading tuition and enrichment center in Singapore with programs designed to hone young minds from as young as aged 4.
Well, I think as a teacher, you're always thinking about how do we go about building a very strong foundation. And that comes as the most important thing before we think about the more sophisticated or complex skills that is needed. But how we started with the younger ones actually has a story behind it. We used to have this group of very young, hungry primary school students. They did well in school and they also spoke very confidently and eloquently. And to top it off, the parents were saying that they're having a lot of fun doing this. So these parents came to us and said, surely you must have a program that caters to the younger group. So that's when we decided to test bed the idea, run many miles with it. We had to bring in the right teachers, do our proper research in making sure that we had the right substance for the program. That's how essentially we started with our early years program.
When Destine first enrolled into P2, she has not been doing very well, especially in terms of the understanding of maths. I think she is lacking of the fundamental concept of what the syllabus is all about. And when the school starting to teach a lot of those mathematical concepts, she just blanked out and she couldn't catch up. Hence, I really wanted to look for something that would be able to help her in that aspect. I went to do quite a fair bit of research. The key criteria that I'm looking at during my search was really, number one, the teachers' quality. The experience in terms of teaching. And one very crucial point was that classroom ratio. Why is that important was really because too big of a group that would not able to help her because, teacher might not have such focus or attention given to her. So when I come to notice that Learning Lab doesn't have a very big group, that was one of the plus points, as well as the way how they conducted classes is something that I think it will be suitable for Destine.
Since its inception, the Learning Lab has established a renowned reputation for guiding its students to achieving their personal bests. Its facilities are meticulously crafted from top to bottom. From its enchanting children's library to its intricately designed classrooms, every element of the Learning Lab's infrastructure serves its purpose.
We start with the classroom. This is the space that is most important. We think of it as an area where dialogic teaching takes place. So the way that we set this up is such that the teacher is able to introduce the topics for the day in a very optimum fashion. This is also where students can interact with their peers. More importantly, express an opinion, find it comfortable to agree and disagree with each other in. Beyond that, we've also got the libraries. This is what we call a labor of our love. We specially curate a whole collection of books. To date, I think we've got about 77,000 books, wide enough to meet the needs or interests of any reader. Parents come to us for one reason. They think we meet the exam need very well. But beyond that, there is something that the educator keeps thinking about, something that causes us to not be able to sleep. What is it that these students need for the real world out there? We live in a VUCA world, students ultimately will need to be able to not just have current affairs as a form of knowledge in context. They also need to be able to think through these issues very critically, and more importantly, I think, be able to communicate and think their way out of problems. So the way that we conceive of these materials or curriculum is such that it's got to have the right dose, exam skills that are needed to help them meet their personal best in schools, as well as the ability for them to manage the very basic abilities that help them in the real world out there.
The Learning Lab operates in an optimum student-to-teacher ratio, allowing ample opportunities for teachers to attend to everyone. To encourage a positive learning experience, students are enrolled according to the class suitability and their learning abilities.
Obviously, we've got to do that profiling of students, if only because we've got students who come in from a very broad ability range. We obviously place them by the academic levels, and this helps the teacher to be able to tailor the teaching techniques based on the learner profile. This actually helps because then when the whole class progresses at the same pace, we have the sense of having that optimum ability to learn the number of skills that they need based on the lesson objectives or requirements for the day.
The Learning Lab selects its teachers with extreme care. To qualify as a teacher at the Learning Lab, the individual must accompany wit with a zeal for teaching.
It is very difficult to be selected as a teacher to begin with. But even before we think about who we select as teachers, we need to think about who our students are. We don't just have the brightest and the best in our student profiles. We've also got what we call the underdog. So based on that profile, I'm thinking the qualities that we look out for will be people who can truly inspire, who are able to nurture the best out of their charges. Having said that, the usual indicators for us would be things like their academic abilities at school, their demonstrable leadership qualities at CCAs, and fundamentally their classroom presence. What kind of personality does it take, right, for them to be able to lead a discussion among 12 bright and hungry young minds?
After the break, we take a glimpse at Destin's journey at the Learning Lab and how the Learning Lab's unique methods help to broaden a student's mind.
On Singapore Tonight, ongoing trials for self-driving vehicles to go beyond the One North and possibly to a road near you. Also a scheme that lets you travel for free on public transport before peak hours gets extended. Details 10 p.m. Singapore-Hong Kong time.
Round up your week
The Tokyo-based owner.
with the events that top the news agenda,
Of its imports.
told through stories from the ground,
Hong Kong.
One Malaysia.
with unique insights and perspectives.
Land clearing by burning deforestation is
But the risks are high.
Correspondence Diary, Fridays on Channel NewsAsia.
When holidaying in Thailand, relaxing in a spa session, enjoy a Thai meal in the jungle, climb a palm tree, taste the refreshing sap and juice, board a train, take in the window seat view, chat with villagers, dive with whale sharks, admire the old town on bicycles, jam with a Thai band, join a Thai temple fair at night, and enjoy stir-fried morning glory like a true local. Discover your unique local experiences in amazing Thailand.
This Saturday, 20 years after handover, how has Hong Kong's economic landscape evolved?
The rule of law allowed Hong Kong to thrive.
And is a financial crisis brewing in China?
the property bubble is partially credit-driven.
Plus, design and how it enhances branding.
Probably the greatest tool that business has.
Money Mind, Saturday on Channel NewsAsia.
Money Mind is brought to you by Subaru.
我的亲生妈妈真的抛弃我了吗？你真的认为都是我害的吗？我为什么要替抛弃我的人着想啊？真的，因为您的关系，我成了一个千古罪人。
有时候反而不揭发真相比较好。 Marrying My Daughter Twice premieres 27th June on Channel U.
I'm one who rises with questions, who seeks reinvention, and strengthens connections, hoping to open all doors. Singapore, we know there's more to you as we challenge norms with you. We'll welcome you daily, all and everyone. Together, I'm one.
In today's lesson, the Learning Lab will be conducting a class on decimals. To help their pupils understand complicated formulas, the Learning Lab applies creative teaching techniques.
When Destine first enrolled into classes, Miss Yo immediately noticed that she is very lacking in some of the maths concept. Miss Yo took the initiative to actually tell me in terms of the area that I need to focus, and also given me some of the exercises to go through with her again at home. At the beginning stage, almost every week, if I'm not wrong, Miss Yo will actually come out after the class to give me an update in terms of how Destine has performed. And obviously through that conversation, she also gave me some tips or method, how can I actually help her at home to enhance. That I think is very much an extra mile that the teacher is actually doing and committing in doing to help her to actually raise up to a certain level in terms of maths. I think the communication has been quite good. I think from the center there is this student report card that was actually given to the parents to really highlight the students' progress. And I think it just doesn't stop there. More so, I think the teacher took a lot of initiative to communicate, to help the parents to understand, where the child is in terms of learning and how are they doing.
The parent, the teacher, and the child has to work together very closely to ensure that the learning journey for the child is actually a smooth one and a healthy one. So having that positive parent-teacher relationship will actually send off the right message to the child that, since my daddy and mommy trust the teacher, so can I trust the teacher? That whatever the teacher is preparing for me for my exams is actually sufficient. I'll be in good hands, and the teacher genuinely trusts me, and the teacher genuinely cares for me. For every lesson plan that we formulate, we want students to develop a love for learning for the subject. So our curriculum is actually very dynamic and our materials are actually very interesting. So for example, in the P4 lesson that we held this cycle, it's actually on the topic of decimals, but instead of just getting students to be ready for the exams and to go through the important components, we also included fun and engaging stuff. For example, the decimal game called the War of Numbers, where students' understanding of decimals are actually put to test during that game, where they interact in a small group session. I think students look forward to coming to class, and from there they do start to love the subject a bit more with these interesting games and activities.
We are playing a game called Snap, but it's maths. We use decimals and fractions on the cards. Then if it's equivalent or the same, then you have to shout snap, and then the first person who shouts snap will take the whole batch of cards. Because Miss Yo is very kind, and she played games with us just now and helped us understand the questions we don't understand by asking us to stay back in class and discuss, or either explain to us along the way.
Miss Yo is also very funny sometimes, during English class also.
Last year, my marks weren't that good as compared to this year. So that's why I'm happy, because I made a big improvement. I enjoy most about maths is when you get the hang of it, it turns out to be very fun.
I think after the journey that she has gone through, I think the leap is somewhat quite tremendous. She is more willing, in the sense that more open, She used to be very reserved when it comes to a new environment or even trying to approach new activities. I find that she's more courageous now, and she's very confident in terms of how she carries herself. The overall, I guess, given her, with a good result and understanding what she's learning and that interest coming back, it become a very light-hearted, should I say, person that would able to embrace challenges and willing to take up new things, new role.
The Learning Lab's invigorating program progressively guided Destine towards better grades, building a confident and happy learner. For a student like Justin, however, the Learning Lab offers a different learning experience. Justin is a student who's competitive in his results. In school, Justin is enrolled in the Gifted Education program, and at every term, he doubles his effort to meet his personal academic goals.
I thought of putting Justin into the Learning Lab because at the time I was looking for an enrichment center that could stretch Justin academically to help him to achieve his fullest potential. He was already doing fairly well in school, but because at that point in time, I was the one who was teaching him. So with my limited knowledge, I only can turn to assessment books. So I thought maybe enrichment center can provide him a more holistic and maybe a more fun way of learning. And so I was asking my friends if they have any recommendations, and they told me about the Learning Lab. So I just enrolled him, and ever since then, I looked through the curriculum. I felt it was very good. It's very well developed, and feedback from Justin was also very positive. He actually enjoyed going to lessons at P2, P3, and so far, in all my interactions with the teachers, I felt that they are very dedicated and very passionate about their jobs. They are not just available, but if you share with them your concerns, they will take note of it and they will try to pay more attention and respect, and they give you regular feedback as well.
When he first came to me, end of last year, he's a typical exuberant, expressive, articulate boy who's a bundle of energy and wants to contribute in class. So when he came in, I had to ensure that I put him in his place and know exactly what are some of his strengths and weaknesses within the first month, because the mom by then had touched base with me about her set of expectations. And so by the time he knew my set of expectations, he knew exactly when he needed to speak up, though he will still get into his usual bits of small talk. And so what I need actually from them is a very, very controlled and well-paced environment for them to finish what I've set out now to do.
To capture a student's attention and interest, the Learning Lab builds its curriculum around interesting topics. When we return after the break, we'll discover how English lessons at the Learning Lab draw Justin into a world of imagination.
Daikin, the smart seed. Daikin supports MediaCorp Saving Gaia.
As far as you can see, on the land and out to sea, there's something very wrong,
and it's time to change. We're going to need
a helping hand. We need to save this world. We hope that you can understand. Save my world. Save my world. Save my world. Save my world. Save my world today.
On Bollywood Masti.
You're in love, aren't you?
कैसे सोच ले तुमने कि वो मेरे परिवार का हिस्सा बन सकती है?
All it takes is one action to shatter a family.
आज तुमने ये साबित कर दिया कि तुम मेरे खून नहीं हो.
and a lifetime to reconcile.
जिस घर की तुम बात कर रहे हो वो तो मेरा कभी था ही। मैं आपको वापस ले आऊंगा भैया।
Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, tomorrow 4 p.m. only on Vasantham.
On the next Asia Business Fest, Australia's high-profile corporate clash with Chinese authorities. Staff of Crown Resorts detained in China since last year. They're due to appear in court on Monday. We'll bring you all the latest on that legal tussle.
Log on now to channelnewsasia.com/TV and watch online first.
In today's lesson, the Learning Lab will be covering the topic of the direct school admission by having students frame and craft their personal statements after studying a compilation of successful college admission essays. For students like Justin who are aiming to participate in the direct school admission program next year, this lesson proves to be enriching in multiple ways.
The most enjoyable part is that we can use our phones and search on the web, or like the famous quotes. Then we don't have to just ask from the teacher. Of course, we wouldn't know if we didn't use our phones. The teachers there are very enriching also, because the teachers won't just give you the answer for the question. They let you think. So like you're more, say, independent. The comprehension are very interesting because their texts are taken from the books itself and with very little changes. So then we can appreciate the book. And then the books which are in the comprehension text are normally found in the library. So then after class we can just go and grab the book if you're interested. The way that I'll be exposed to books is mainly the comprehension, because they give you the snippet of the book. That then made me realize that there were a lot of other books that I also enjoyed. Then I'll go to the library and then browse at those books instead of just getting from the comprehension itself.
One thing I observed which intrigued me about the curriculum was the comprehension passages that were selected. The comprehension passages are not the usual passages that you can find in off-the-shelf assessment books from the bookshops. In fact, they are passages taken from magazines, columns, even newspaper articles, and that actually gave a very good insight to life itself, you know, more than just about books. It actually interfaces academics with current affairs. And through reading those articles, Justin developed a sense of interest in reading newspapers as well as magazines, even out of the academics. I think programs at Learning Lab will benefit Justin in terms of helping him to think critically, as well as exposing him to current affairs other than textbook materials, and teaches him how to engage with his friends in class as they get to share their opinions in class and then brainstorm on ideas.
While academic progress represents a core part of the Learning Lab's focus, the Learning Lab also encourages them to dream big, plan well, and achieve their personal best.
We find every single opportunity to do things that are different from most. I'll give you a case in point. There will be a week in the whole term where we do presentations. So there's this week where we were doing best business idea. And then at the end of the day we said, okay, now it's crisis management simulation. So I think the way that we think about how to teach these real-world skills actually comes with improvisation. We talk about teaching with routines, but we always also make sure that we teach in a very surprising way and in a very counterintuitive way.
At the Learning Lab, students as young as aged 4 are introduced to inspiring individuals who have made an impact in the world. During the holidays, the Learning Lab offers various enrichment programs to provide students with the opportunities to develop their passion and inner talents. The Learning Lab also partners with various enrichment organizations to cater for more specific interests. Today, they get a taste of performance art with Dream Academy.
Well, beyond the fact that the Dream Academy is very established and very good at what it does, we selected it also because of the fact that Selina Tan herself is helming the program. So we thought to ourselves, what a brilliant opportunity for our children to learn from the best in theatre. Beyond that, we also thought the most important thing about theatre is the ability for children to have that sense of imagination. The ability for them also to gain in terms of inter and intra-personal skills, that social ability in interacting with others, as well as that cognitive ability to produce a piece of art or work in a space like that.
Today, the Learning Lab has 7 branches across Singapore, and at every registration window, its classes are widely sought after.
So I joined the Learning Lab when I was in secondary school. Prior to joining Learning Lab, I was actually a very lazy and unmotivated and poorly performing student. So Learning Lab really marked a turning point in terms of my attitude towards education and learning in general. I was very lucky that I had very inspiring teachers. So they were not only very inspiring, they were very eloquent and they were very approachable. And that made me feel like, I really wanted to emulate them. So I took my lessons very seriously when I started classes here in the Learning Lab. And of course, this shaped my whole attitude towards learning. And that opened many doors for me in the future. So I attended English classes here at the Learning Lab, but from Learning Lab, so we have this thing where we cultivate a lot of good habits. So for instance, we always had to find what we call cousin words, which is just synonyms. So based on that, it actually cultivated a really good habit for me, so that thesaurus became my best friend. And of course, that helped me in future, when I had to write essays, to apply for grants. I think I would say that my teachers were the most memorable part of during my experience in the Learning Lab. They were very funny and they were very engaging, and they always regaled us with stories from their own personal experience. And in fact, I still keep in touch with my teachers now, they're my friends on Facebook. And I met one of them a couple of years ago, and she remembered me, so it was a really good experience for both of us.
For aspiring young minds like Destine and Justin, their journeys with the Learning Lab have only just begun. While there may be challenges ahead that they must face, the Learning Lab promises to make every learning journey an inspiring one.
This program was brought to you by the following company.
Every day, the financial world goes through dramatic rise and falls. As the opening bell signals the start of the business day in Asia, we'll track the biggest market movers and show you where the opportunities lie. And when trading ends, get the experts' take on the performance of key indices, plus all the analysis to help you understand forces driving global economies. The daily business news you need, only on Channel NewsAsia. This segment is brought to you by Xeon Corporation. They came from faraway lands, lured by promises of adventures and wealth.
There were Australians, people from Africa, the Russian Empire, and from Asia.
Men, women and children exhibited like animals.
These shows were totally unacceptable, but were entertainment.
It was shocking.
Uncovering a dark chapter in history, Documentary of the Week presents Trapped in a Human Zoo, Sunday on Channel NewsAsia.
Ground Zero Run for Humanity is back. This time bigger and better. Celebrate the indomitable human spirit with 3 experiential run categories. Join us as we raise awareness for humanitarian relief efforts while benefiting families in Singapore. Register for the run and do your part for charity today. Brought to you by Ground Zero Run for Humanity 2017. CSR partner, Channel NewsAsia.